as we're talking about divorce on the Christian View today, and we've talked about kids being used as pawns, pulled back and forth in the midst of a bitter divorce. But, you know, this segment we're going to talk about step-parenting and the role, Trudy, that a step-parent actually plays. And I'm one. My husband has been a step-parent to my 2 boys for 23 years, and they could not ask for a better step-parent.
Yes. That's my experience as well, is that, well, one thing I want to say, research is so inconclusive about the impact of step-parents on families. I mean, it really came up to be nothing. It's one is good, one is bad. So I just said, well, I'm just going to talk about my own experience. And I think it goes back to what we were saying in the last segment, though. You have to get healthy so that you can find that healthy mate.
It goes down to if mama makes a better choice the next go-round.
Yes, well, if mama's healthy enough to make that choice. And I think what's huge is look at the relationship that potential step-parent has with your children before you marry them, because they have to have that connection and, you know, and bring your children into the decision. Now, obviously, they can't be the deciding factor, but if you know that they have a good relationship and you see things in that potential spouse that would just add to their experience of life, it's a great thing. It has been a great thing for our children.
The perspective that individual has, that parent has, because for me, you know, I am what people would consider a stepfather to my son, which was my wife's son before we got married, but that's my son.
Amen.
And I don't see myself as a step parent.
I adopt. Like that.
I don't even like the term.
It's not even in the Bible.
Either you decide and accept it. You got to accept being a parent.
Yeah.
It's family.
You're not a stepmom, you're a bonus mom.
A bonus mom.
Somebody say,
The gift.
I'm a stepmom, what's your superpower?
I like that too. That's so true. Well, that's definitely for
But you know, I think the groundwork has to really be laid out before you say I do to someone who is not their biological parent.
Right.
Because, you know, it's very difficult, and I know you're at home watching, it can be very difficult if the step-parent comes in thinking, well, I can discipline this child. I can do this. Oh my gosh, that resentment. Oh, gosh, that resentment's not good.
So it's a good opportunity to create new boundaries, new
They're getting
guidelines.
communications.
I have a family who has my declaration, and they put their family values when they remarried in the foyer of their home. And every family member sat down and created that.
That's great.
And I think a step-parent has to create boundaries and know that they're coming in to be a positive addition, right? Not to do the discipline. And it's up to the original parent to make sure that happens
I think also people have to realize in order to be an effective parent, whether, you know, step or blended or however we want to call it, you know, the person, first of all, you got to be smart, you got to be loving, and then thirdly, you have to be godly. And then if we look to our godly example, you know, maybe it didn't come out like ours comes out in the traditional sense in today's times, but we have such a great example of a blended family. When you look at Joseph and Christ and him and Mary, you know, that was a lot for any man to be able to take on when you saying, okay, this woman's already pregnant and you're about to marry her, and, you know, you're saying, oh yeah, this is from the Holy Ghost, but oh my God, you know, all kind of things going in the back of your mind. But here he gives this great example to the father of Christ. So therefore, you know, if he can be that great example and lead all of us, I think all of us, you know,
it's not being real godly when the step-parent is continuously talking bad about the biological mom or dad that's not in the picture here. Oh, gosh.
That's an immature adult.
Or if the parents team up and then it's a triangle, right? And then the spouse is one being battered. That creates a negative loop in that child, and it's forming who they are and how they're going to role model. You know, they're going to sponge off that role modeling.
I think that's why in our churches, I believe it's something like over 50% of our families in churches are blended families. And we need to evaluate, what are we doing for our blended families? What kind of resources are we making available to them?
Are we having we can expect kids just take whoever you bring in, even if they like them. You can't expect a child, Rebecca, just to love them like a mom or dad when they come into the house. They're not going to do that. It takes time to build that relationship.
And healing, and that's why the church needs to step up.
That's the operative word, relationships. People don't take time to build effective relationships. Working in the juvenile court system, I saw so many times when those kids would come in there and they were becoming delinquent or a truant in school. When you go back to the home, there were problems in the home, and most time it was where there had been some kind of decline in the relationship, where the mom brought in a new husband or a new boyfriend. It was some kind of step parent. parenting going on, it always causes problems in the kid's life. So you have to work on
Lee,
getting
all
a
right,
good
all right, Lee,
relationship.
let's say mama and stepdad, okay, they're together now, so mom's got the kids, and here he comes, and he's stepdad, but yet he's also got children too.
Yes.
Well, between these now two new sets of kids, you can't be showing any favoritism among them either.
No. Right.
And that's hard not to
Oh, yeah.
also.
And see, that's the choice that my wife and I had to make. And the thing about it, Lee has said it before, we have to be the adults. We have to be the ones who stick to the scriptures. We have to be the one who exemplify the nature of that Joseph, in the sense of understanding that the children are going to come in with whatever they are. They're children, but that's what they do. And so we have to be the ones that understand they have certain issues, but we have to understand those issues and allow them even time to mold and to mature, so that we don't blame
I
them
don't
for
think
it.
we'll allow our children time to grieve.
Yeah.
You know, and they're grieving.
Yes.
They're grieving when we're dating again.
Yeah.
It says that's one of the big mistakes that parents make is presenting too many premature relationships to the children.
And bringing the new boyfriend
Yeah.
in, and it might
And I
work
think
2 months, and then he's gone, and here comes a
it's
new
very unhealthy.
boyfriend.
I love the phrase that there's nothing more dangerous than a wounded animal, and if you're that wounded person bringing in unnecessary relationships in front of your children, it's just why?
Children are going to
Don't
act
do
out.
it.
They're going to be afraid of the dark.
Because
They're going
they
to wet the
don't-
bed.
they
They're going to do
don't
other things.
You got to put their kid. You got to
yeah.
put their feelings up there somewhere at the top.
Yeah, yeah. It was always, I would say to my children that we're a pack. I mean,
Yeah.
we're a joint unit, and anybody that gets me, he gets all of us, our dogs, our cats, all of us included, you know?
It sounds like you do it in a very collaborative environment, which is important, because I would hate to think a parent just goes in with control and says, well, I'm the parent, this is how it is.
No.
With that, exerting that control, that's just going to be the breakdown
Sure
of the
they do,
family.
though.
They do, but I think, again, it's a matter of those parents or those adults learning how to actually show the affection and the right godly love towards each other, because again, that child will find security in watching their,
Yes.
this new family be a family as husband and wife together.
And you have to be the gatekeeper. I remember, I'm divorced, and I remember I was the next relationship I was in, and I was almost at a point where, I was considering marrying this person. And I remember one day I was with her, and my daughter kept calling. She was having something going on, and she got upset, and she said, "Oh my God! Every time I turn around, you're just going to your kids. You're going to your kids."
Yeah.
And
Red flag.
and I
Red
said to
flag.
her, I said, "I knew my children when I met you.
That's right.
And I'm going to know my kids when you're
That's
gone."
right.
So
Well,
sometimes
I'm
you have
telling
to be
you,
the
you've got to
gatekeeper
put 'em
and
first.
realize that
You did good, really good right there.
Yeah.
Stay with us. We'll be right back. That was good.